there, folks? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another video if you're a subscriber, and thank you. Your support helps this channel grow. If you're brand new to the channel, I hope you enjoy this video, and if you do, hit that subscribe button to receive future updates on new videos coming out. And also, the more subscribers I have, the more I can do with this channel, which means better videos for you. And I'm so excited to bring you this video because here I am in RFACTOR 2 by Studio 397, and I am at the brand new Donington Park. Brand new laser scan Donington Park in the brand new Toyota Corolla British touring car. Cup car here. This is my car there. And we're in the new build of RFACTOR 2. And I'm going to take a drive around here and we'll have a little talk about the new build, the new cars and tracks. I've just got the all-in-one pack that comes with we've got three new tracks for RFACTOR 2. We've got Laguna Seca, which is awesome. We've got, they're all awesome. We've got Brands Hatch, we've got Donington Park, and these two new amazing cars. You've got the front-wheel drive Toyota Corolla BTC car, and also the Infiniti Q50 rear-wheel drive. And this is taking me, this is taking me back. Reminds me of Toca World touring cars from Codemasters way back when I was a bit younger, quite a lot younger, and had a PlayStation. Before we get on to how amazing, just look at this track, is absolutely awesome. This car feels great. I'm having a great time. Before we go any further, though, let's get one thing cleared up. There's been a lot of worried people in the sim racing community because of the recent fiasco with motorsport games, and also the fact that Marcel Offermans, one of the main devs for RFACTOR 2, has left Studio 397. A lot of people have been speculating or thinking that this might be the end for RFACTOR 2. Let me put your mind at rest. Don't worry. RFACTOR 2 is here to stay. And I have that on the highest authority. I can't tell you exactly where that information came from, but I wouldn't worry if I were you. Plenty of good plans for the future for RFACTOR 2. Anyway, let's get into what's new in this brand new build. Now, obviously, I've already, if you know my channel, you know. Oh, just lost the back end a bit there. Not concentrating. Brake bias in this car by default is set quite rearward, so you have to be careful on the brakes. More on that later. So I've done a video on the release candidate already. We're now on the full version. And of course the biggest change, the biggest game changer that's happened to RFACTOR 2 in a long while is now the AI choose the right strategy and tyres for the conditions. So if you go out in the dry, they'll choose dry tyres. If you go out in the wet, they will choose wet tyres. Also, if the weather changes halfway through a session, say from dry to wet, they will then pit accordingly for wet tyres, and not, as they used to, get stuck in a horrible pit loop where they just start constantly re-pitting every other lap because they get confused over their tyres, and you know, you just lose half the field and there's no point in racing. You can now have a full-on race with the AI in changing conditions. In fact, if you go into your live timing screen, you can actually see your opponent, as well as your opponent's lap times in there on, I think it's the right hand side column. You can see what tyres they're on in real time, you know. And it goes further than that as well. Even if you go out on, and I've checked this, I've checked this out. If you go out in a dry session with cars that have multiple compounds, such as the touring cars here, so softs, mediums, hards. If you set up a short 20-minute race, you'll find that, and go into your live timing, you'll see all of your AI will choose the soft tyre. If you set up a 2-hour race and then go into your live timing, you'll see that they'll most of them will then go for the mediums. It's amazing. It's fantastic. So that's one little thing. There's all sorts of nice little but very helpful features with the UI as well. For instance, now when you change from one session to the next, so say qualifying to a race, when you get to the end of your qualifying session, in your watch screen, you've got your drive button, which gets you out onto the track. Previously, that would just grey out at the end of the session, and you'd actually have to go into another menu, into your session timing or session settings tab, to then advance to the next session. Now, that little button just changes, the drive button changes, as soon as the session's over, it just changes from the drive button to the next session, which is just really helpful, just saves time. Brilliant. Also, weather options have changed, and things with the graphics and properties of the road change with the weather, but also in the UI, you can now set at the start, before you go to your track, and you're setting up a session, not only can you change what type of weather it's going to be, and how rubbed in the road is on your real road preset, you can now change the amount of standing water on the track. So you can start off in dry conditions but with a wet track, and you can take your degree of how much water there is on the track from 0 to 100. By the way, be careful of 100, because that's basically 100% wet track is basically like there's just been a monsoon or a tidal wave's hit the place, you know. The track's just so wet you'll even struggle to get around on wet tyres. It's quite amazing. Also, the way grip is calculated over rubbed-in surfaces in the wet has now changed. So you've got less grip on a rubbed-in surface in the wet than you have off the racing line, as it should be, as it is in real life. So that's a real big step forward now. Previously, of course, the rubbed-in section would just stay the grippiest part, but now you actually sort of have to change your line. It's amazing. Before I carry on with the good stuff, are there any issues I've found with these fantastic new tracks? Well, I can tell you now, Brands Hatch, no problems whatsoever, and Brands Hatch is absolutely beautiful, by the way. In fact, I know it's a bit of a Marmite track. You know, some people love it, some people hate it. As I was saying to someone just the other day, but it's, I love it. It's a real challenge. Laguna Seca is spectacular, but watch out for those sausage curbs. They can launch you. Oh yeah, and we've got sparks. We've got sparks now, dynamic sparks, which look absolutely fantastic. It's great being behind sort of one of the USFs or one of the open wheels and seeing them as they go down the crane of curves, emitting those sparks. It's amazing. But yes, there are a couple of little issues. So for instance, at Laguna Seca, you will find some of the cars, especially cars with not too much steering lock, will struggle to get out of the pits, or not the pit lane, but the garage lane. So when you first disembark from the pits, coming out of the garages, they've got to make a very sharp left-hand turn. Some of them don't make it and have to back up and reverse. Hope that'll be fixed. I shall make a bug report about it on the Studio 397 forums, but hope that gets fixed. It doesn't affect the race at all, because of course they're only going straight down the pit lane, not the garage pit lane, so I lose the back end again. I'm going to move my brake bias a little bit forward. Just because I'm not paying attention. Yeah, they don't use, when they're coming into the pits, they're not having to make any hard turns, so it doesn't affect the race. Just them it just takes them a bit longer to get out of the pits. Hopefully that'll be fixed. And also here at Donington Park, I have found two cars that the AIs struggle a bit to make it round the track with. If you choose the Radical SR3 XX, that's the paid DLC version, not the free RSX version that comes with the game, no problems with that whatsoever. But with the XX, when they get down to the crane of curves, just before they turn right into the old hairpin, they're braking and they lose the back end, and you end up with a big pile up. That happens every other lap. So I hope Studio 397 will be able to have a look at that. The only other car, and I've tested a lot, I've tested a lot of cars. The only other car I found that has a problem there is the BMW M4 Class 1. Not the GT3 version. None of the GT3s have problems around there. The Class 1 does. So, there's just fantastic things going on. Wet weather. Wet weather has been updated graphically, and it looks fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Windshield effects are amazing. The way that the rain streaks up the windshield. And all of those new tracks, all of them, are a laser scan thing of beauty. I know the laser scan, I don't need to say anything about it other than it feels amazing. But on the graphics front, talking of the graphics, look at those trees over there, the different colours of leaves, just amazing. On the graphics front, I know that RFACTOR 2 runs on a bit of a dated graphic engine, but with the new effects, the newer, smoother transitions between sort of cloudy and bright, it just looks amazing, especially when you get the sun low in the sky in the evening. But it may be a bit of a dated engine, but RFACTOR 2 graphics engine had its own characteristic that no other sim has. It's just the crispness of the edges of the lines in the distance is one of the things I absolutely love about RFACTOR 2. So it is great to have these tracks in the game. Talking of graphics, by the way, these cars look fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But I will say this: when you go to your graphics settings, make sure that you have them, as in the player car and opponent cars, on full graphical detail, both of them. You may find that with some cars you need to lower that because maybe the cars are quite a high poly count and they take up a lot of graphics to render. These cars being kind of boxy hatchbacks and saloon cars, as I nearly wobble off the curb there, they don't tax your graphics at all, so you don't really need to lower them. But also, when you lower the graphics in them, they don't look so good. For instance, you can't really make out that quick fit BTCC car in the Toyota sign there in the Toyota if you put the graphics all the way down to low. So keep them on high. As for the cars themselves, they're just fantastic. This front wheel drive is one of the best front wheel drive experiences I've had in any sim. It's just right. I always thought the old Honda BTCC car, its front wheel drive was a bit overdone. With this one, sorry, I'm driving terribly. With this one, it's just perfect. You can really feel it pulling, you can feel it torque steering, you can feel it understeering, you can feel when you're using too much power out of the corner and your tyres are scrabbling for grip, and you can feel the back end break loose. Coming back to that whole brake bias thing, you would want the brake bias quite far to the rear on a car like this, because of course with the front wheel drive you can't, if you need to, get the back end to power around to help the car rotate under power because it's front wheel drive. So you set the brake bias towards the rear, and that's the thing to note. If you do find that if you're not used to these sort of cars, even the Infinity is the same, very rearward brake bias. You might want to bring that brake bias forward and then gradually bring it back again. Also, if you go out on your default setup, you will be on medium tyres. I'm on medium tyres at the moment, and you can change those to softs. The cars come with several different customizations. You can customize the tyres, so you get limited sets, unlimited sets with more compounds, hard, medium, soft, wets. And also there are 2 different rule sets as well, so you can choose to have push to pass, and I've tried it and it works well, or as I'm running at the moment, with no push to pass. I just love these cars. I've driven the Infinity, I've been out on the official Studio 397 servers at Brands Hatch with that, and I just love it. You can of course get the Infinity's rear end out a lot easier under power with it being rear wheel drive. If you want to control that a bit, I do find it's a bit more nervous over curbs than the Toyota. Also, I think the Toyota is a little bit faster in a straight line. I think so, judging from what I've seen so far. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments. But if you want to calm the rear end down on the Infinity, you can, of course, because both cars have adjustable diffs. You can adjust your preload, take your preload down or your power ramp down, and it really helps sort it out. Or, you know, both cars come with quite stiff rear dampers. You can soften those up pretty much as much as you like. And talking of setups, I'm gonna jump into the pits in just a second to show you something. British touring cars, you know, remember watching them back in the 90s, they've always been able to run ridiculous amounts of camber. And these cars are no different. In fact, I won't go into the pits, I'll keep driving for the sake of the video. But if you go into your setups and go to your camber, you can go to something like 7 or 8 degrees. Oh look, there's a jumbo in the sky taking off there. Lovely little touch. Just the detail of this track. You could put a ridiculous amount of camber on these cars. In fact, have a go at that. Put on the biggest amount of camber you can, and then come out of the garage and change to your trackside camera so you can actually see how much those wheels are leaning in. You try driving on that amount of camber, it all gets a bit grabby, you know. In a straight line, there's hardly any contact patch. It's just fantastic. Now, as I said earlier, I've bought the entire pack, so 3 tracks, 2 cars. That's cost me £27, which is a bit steep. It's not the steepest, but it is pretty steep. I've got to say, it's been worth it for me. What do you think? What do you think of the pricing? You can buy the 2 cars on their own for about £8, 7 or 8 quid. You can buy the tracks separately for about 7 or 8 quid. But they're amazing. Now, Studio 397 have said that they will be bringing out more British touring cars. So maybe that whole fallout thing from the Motorsport Games BTCC game not happening has massively benefited RFACTOR 2. I don't know. Again, tell me what you think in the comments. But we've got more to come, and I am hoping. I would love to see them do the entire calendar of BTCC tracks, so we'd have things like Snetterton, Thruxton, Knockhill, all of the tracks would be fantastic. If you want to find those tracks, by the way, and fill out the calendar just for the moment, there are modded versions of those tracks both on Steam and on, you can find the ones that aren't on Steam, you can find them from websites like Race Department. But and by the way, my favourite, Alton Park, I really hope we get Alton Park in RFACTOR 2 officially laser scanned, official Studio 397 track. I love that track, but there is a great version of it, and you can get this on the Steam Workshop by Digger and ODB. That was actually recently updated with PBR shaders, and it looks fantastic. So I'm looking forward to having a race with these cars there. I just love driving these cars. The racing with the AI is brilliant, by the way. They've really calibrated the AI well. So with the GTEs and GT3s, I usually have them about between 108 and 110 for a decent race. Oh, if you heard that little noise there, that little beep, that's the downshift protection. We've now got gear protection in these cars. Hang on, I'll try and do it again. So there you go. Try to change the second. You hear it beeping. It's not letting me. Now that the revs have dropped, it will. We've got that. Yeah, the AI are very well calibrated. I've got them at about 104 here, so I get used to them. And I'm getting good competition from them, good races. Also, there's no huge discrepancy between their skill in the rain and their skill in the wet. So I'm about as fast as the AI in the dry as I am in the wet. You know, so they don't suddenly, when it changes to wet, become dramatically too fast for me or too slow. Just about right. Oh, look at that sun there. Sun glare is just absolutely awesome. Oh, the new sound engine, by the way. We have a new sound engine and it's working out really well. It was a little bit in the release candidate build, the precursor to this public build, the levels were a little bit off. Some of the opponent cars were too loud. That's all sorted. All of the cars sound much more visceral, much more detailed, and that's from inside the car and from outside the car on the trackside cameras. You can set your microphone settings from immersive to broadcast. So if you're watching from outside the track, broadcast will play static mics around the track, and that's how you'll hear them. And with immersive, it's your point of view from the trackside. It's just, try out the settings. It's brilliant. In a tin-top car where you're enclosed with the cockpit, the other cars are much quieter around you. In an open cockpit car, like one of the USFs, for instance, the other cars are much louder, which makes a lot of sense to me. I've seen some people say on the forums that they thought that the opponent cars in the touring cars were a bit too quiet. I don't think so. Let's get one beside me. See if we can hear him as he comes past. I heard that. I don't know if you did. Let's have another one come past. I heard that. Now, if you watch touring car videos, in-car touring car videos, you know, these are reasonable size engines, 2 litre turbocharged, but they're not howling V8s. When you watch the in-car videos from touring cars, or when I do at least, I don't hear much of the other cars. It's mainly the driven car that you hear. So to me, the mixing is really good, and that's great. It really adds to the immersion. Fantastic. There's another jumper in the sky there. These two cars are just, I haven't been able to put them down. I got this pack a couple of days ago and I just haven't been able to put it down. It is absolutely fantastic. Now, rumour has it that, as well as new cars and tracks on the way, rumour has it that they are at Studio 397. And this is a rumour, so don't take it as gospel, but rumour has it that they are now working on all sorts of other bits, like the tyre pressure and temperature issues, where you don't get transference between the heat of the track to the tyres. Rumour has it that's being worked on. I hope so. What do you think? Have you heard about this? It can only be good. It can only be good. I'm really excited about RFACTOR 2 this year. You know, when I heard the news about the Motorsport Games thing crashing, I was still optimistic, but then I heard that Marcel had left Studio 397, and I thought, oh, but he did say he'd left it in very capable hands, and that was a statement he actually made, and I don't think he would have made that statement if there was no reason to. But there were a few things to worry about. When I heard the news from a certain authority on the subject that RFACTOR 2 is here to say I was on cloud 9 again, I really do think this year RFACTOR 2 is really going somewhere. And with, you know, the force feedback is updated in terms of hertz quicker than any other sim, and it does there is a certain characteristic to RFACTOR 2's force feedback. It's so immediate. I'd love to see that coupled with the physics of these cars. When you watch them on the replays, the way they move, fantastic. I was about to say, if you watch them over the curves, I will say the Infinity unless you play with the setup a bit, maybe soften those rear springs, and as I said with the differential, can be a bit nervous over curves, more so than the Toyota here. Oh, might be in for an overtake here, hang on. No, try the inside. Oh! Nearly outbraked myself there. You can, of course, flat spot the tyres, so I don't want to be looking at the brakes too much. But what do you think of all of this? With all of these new improvements, you know, there's rumours that there's more work being done on the AI. You know, if they could get that sort of on-off brake accelerator thing sorted out, that would be really nice. An improved damage system would be nice. More visual and physical damage, and also a proper drive line. So, proper working clutch system, clutch and gear system, where you can actually damage gears, or, you know, currently you can kind of change gear without using the clutch, even if you've got it set up for a manual gear change and you've got auto clutch turned off. Love to see that improved. But I am just enjoying these things so much. I really am. Oh! And the nature of these cars, you know, 250 brake horsepower-ish, or 370-ish, just not too fast, not too slow. Great with these kind of size tracks. Also, by the way, with Donington and Brands Hatch, you've got both versions of the track, the national versions, the national version of this track. So, with the national version, of course, I'm going to give myself probably get a warning for cutting the track. Of course, you come through this chicane rather than going around the 2 hairpins there. And with Brands Hatch, there you go. Track cut warnings, by the way, on all of the tracks are very good. The tracks will not let you just cut chicanes and corners. Really done well. Brands Hatch has got the Indy circuit, the full GP circuit. Laguna Seca is just the one version of the circuit, but my God, what a circuit it is. Going down the corkscrew there, you really feel the weight changes going down there. It's amazing, and you get a real sense of elevation change as well. It's just beautifully done. The other thing about RFACTOR 2 as well, you can be right over one side of the track and position your car just right so you can see into the distance, see up the hill and the other side of the track, and you can see the cars going around there. I love it's down to RFACTOR's graphics engine. It does do far away detail very well. Also, when the sky gets a bit hazy, there's a lovely subtle haze effect which isn't too overdone. It's just puts you right there. Do you know what I mean? Right there. It's just awesome. I've got a permanent smile on my face. So I have waffled on for quite a while about these cars now. I think that's sort of covered everything for the moment. Oh, safe to say, just a quick one. I'm not trying to teach you how to suck eggs here. You probably figured this one out, of course. But your front tyres will get hotter and wear quicker in this car than in the Infinity, because the Infinity, of course, is rear-wheel drive, and the front wheels are just steering. Whereas you've got all the power going through this with the front wheels here and your steering as well. But you can manage that. You will find in the Infinity it's a much more equal spread, but you still can understeer and get those front tyres quite hot, because remember it's not a mid-engine rear-wheel drive car, it's a front-engine rear-wheel drive car, so more of the way at the front. But you will get those back tyres hot as well if you're overpowering the back end. And have a play. Oh, I'm not concentrating again. Have a play with the setups. These cars are quite adjustable. It's just fantastic. Oh, just absolutely beautiful version of Donington. You really feel those little gold raised circles there. Just fantastic. Well, folks, as the plane there comes into land, I think we just saw the plane land. That seems like an appropriate point at which to land the car, so to speak, and end the video here. As we see the cars going up the hill in the distance there. I hope you've enjoyed that. Like I said, if you have enjoyed it and you're not a subscriber, do subscribe to the channel. And thank you if you want to see more. And thank you to all of my current subscribers. Thank you, Studio 397, for this great work. Cheers for watching. Happy sim racing. If you want this channel to survive, do me a favor and hit subscribe. May seem like a small thing to do, but it enables me to make more videos for you. By hitting that button, you can help us thrive. Subscribe and keep this channel alive. Don't cost nothing, don't take no time. Come on now, keep this channel alive.